So hi, this is Jeff Hamrick at Rhodes College again, and I'm going to talk for a few minutes about just two different ways that you can delete outliers using Fathom. There are actually a number of different ways that outliers can be removed from data sets in Fathom, and I won't discuss every possible way of doing so. I'm just going to talk about two common ways that you might do so. So I have two different copies of the body fat percentage data that we've been working with recently. And in a recent screencast, we noted that there seems to be a typo in this data set. There seems to be a sailor whose body measurements were recorded, and his height was recorded as something like approximately 29 inches. And that's definitely lower than the minimum threshold height you have to be to even enlist in the Navy. So I think that's probably an outlier and should be removed from our set of data before we do any sort of analysis. So to illustrate this, I'm going to create a graph of the height attribute, and you can see here that sort of that has a bell curve shape, but there's this odd, clearly an outlier here on the left. To remove that outlier from this data set using the dot plot itself, what I can do is I can actually click on, you can always click on individual dots in dot plots, and I'm going to click on that outlier. It makes it easy to spot typically in the data set. It should be highlighted here. Oh, that doesn't work. There it is. There it is. Right here. It's case 42. And let's see how we can remove that member of the data set. If you right click on the red dot and you ask to delete this case, boom, it's gone. Case number 42 is no longer a guy with height 29 inches. It's now the case that was formerly beneath it. This dot plot now looks a little bit funny. If you ask it to rescale graph axes, it will redraw itself, reflecting the fact that it no longer has the odd outlier to the left that was sort of messing up the drawing. So that's one way to remove an outlier. Let's work with the second copy of the body fat percentage data. Now I'm going to drag down a graph, drag the height attribute into it, and immediately convert this to a box plot. Now, using the IQR test, Fathom itself recognizes this guy who's roughly 29 inches tall as being an outlier, but even in the box plot, if I click on this outlier and I right click and I delete case, I can remove that case from this set of data. By right clicking on this plot and rescaling the graph axes, I can sort of renormalize the drawing so that it looks a little bit better given that we've removed that outlier. So this is a way that you can interactively work with graphics in Fathom, a dot plot and a box and whiskers plot respectively, to remove outliers in particular from the data set that you're working with in Fathom.